And to know more about this, we're now being joined by Srinath Ravichandran, the co-founder and CEO of Agnikul Cosmos. He also was part of that brief interaction with Prime Minister Modi earlier in the day. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Times Now. First up, help us understand, what are really your key takeaways and highlights from the meeting with the Prime Minister, especially because now India is aiming big when it comes to its space goals.
So the reason we go to space is to get data from there, right? Because the data generated from there is beyond the usual limitations we have in resolution. It was a great experience. It showed us, first of all, that he is very serious about the new reforms that have been announced. He had a very clear vision for all of us. I was one of the 20 other startups that were selected, and he was very clear that India should become the go-to place for any space challenge anywhere in the world, and that's what together as an ecosystem we should be building in India.
And I believe your company was launched about 9 years back in 2017, and it took you about 7 years to successfully launch the world's first rocket with a fully printed engine. And that too from India's first private launch pad called Dhanush. So what was your vision while launching Agnikul Cosmos, and where do you see that 2 years after its successful rocket launch feat?
Agnikul was started with this vision of making space transportation, as simple and as easy as possible. We wanted to make sure that getting to space should never be a problem. And that will mean you've just built what I could say is a highway or like a route to get there. And from there, everything in space can be done. So that is what we wanted to build. And the mission that we did in 2024 was proving all the technologies that we had to build to get that door to be unlocked, right? And I'm calling that a door literally because once that key is available, once the door is open, everything that was done on Earth can also be done in space. Maybe in some cases better, in some cases cheaper, in some cases more efficiently. So that is what that mission was. Now coming to this launch, we are focused on, two primary objectives itself, right? One is to put customers in orbit, and
Right.
then two is to retrieve as much hardware as possible. And reusable rockets are probably the only way in which you can make a rocket, launching solution as a business, right? Because you can't say every time I go to space, I have to make a rocket. That doesn't work. So you'll have to, make a decoupling happen between launch and production.
Right.
So that is what the next 3 missions are for us. This starting from mission 2, the upcoming mission 2, 3, and 4 will all be about putting customers in orbit and at the same time retrieving hardware, so that after that we start reflying the same hardware. At that point in time, we have achieved a big milestone. We have decoupled production from launch. The bigger goal, the bigger vision is about, again, as I said, getting to space should be in the hands of anyone who wants to go. It should be like as easy as booking a cab ride to space. If we achieve that, I think we've made some difference in the sector here.
Right, absolutely. And many are also calling India the next space superpower, and rightfully so. And I'm sure the Prime Minister also in that interaction with you had set certain targets for the private space ecosystem. But personally, what is your next goal for your company?
No, I think the biggest thing that a startup can get today when they're working in space tech is the ecosystem support, right? And it is actually quite relevant to recollect and also feel grateful that we are in a country where going to orbit has already been figured out. India has already cracked that. In fact, I think there are only 6 countries across the world who have the skill set to go to orbit. Once you're in orbit, a lot of countries know what to do, a lot of companies know what to do. On the ground, of course, many people know what to do. But this bridge between ground to orbit, there are only 6 countries who do that today. And India is one of them. India has been one of them for a very long time, since the SLV-3 days, the mission that Dr. Kalam actually led. Since then, we have been a spacefaring nation. So in that context, when you're now starting to build out a vision for a future where space transportation is not that big a deal, I think it is important to take the advantage of whatever is in India, right? India has the ecosystem, India has experts, India has talent, India also has a I would say sort of like a space conscious manufacturing, right? People know what it means to bring in as rigor when you have to go to space. That has been done, that has been inculcated painfully over a very long time by ISRO. So when India is attempting something as big as landing very close to the south pole of the moon, I think it's actually opening up our horizons too, right? In terms of dreaming about things, we really want to be the best space transportation provider across the world. And we do that today through these class of rockets, the rockets that are carrying capacity of up to half a ton. But I see that as a stepping stone, as one business stream, or as a set of library tools that we have built, which will add to the bigger goal of making transportation to space as simple and as easy as possible.
Right, certainly it is a major stepping stone for India, and the Prime Minister has also repeatedly promised of a Viksit Bharat by 2047. So looking at the big picture here, how do you see the space sector contributing to that vision of Viksit Bharat?
We would love to be a part of it. We can do a lot of things, starting from manufacturing some of these components if they require 3D printing, to doing some of the work for the landing, because we're developing our own landing algorithm. Of course, Chandrayaan 3 has already done it, so ISRO should surely have all the nuances. But if we are able to help there, we'll also do that. And I think we would like to be associated because it's a matter of pride, it's a matter of inspiration. And beyond the learning, beyond all the money and the business aspects, I think this is about Indians going to the moon and coming back. And I think that is a story that no one would want to miss.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Srinath Ravichandran, for joining us here on Times Now. And we, of course, wish you and your team all the best as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, viewers, a short break. More news and updates on the other side.